Here I am with King Daniel Taylor, and I'd like to
Whoa,
thank
whoa,
him
whoa, whoa,
for.
whoa, 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 whoa. Let me do my intro real quick.
Okay,
And we're live, baby. Yo, what's up, y'all? Thank y'all for watching. This is the In Your Face show, and I'm here with my main man. Oh, this is the 63rd episode, part two, because yesterday was technically, untechnically sound, and the shit was acting stupid. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in again, and thank y'all for everything. So let's get to it, shall we? This is my main man, Pat Greenwood. Take it away, my brother.
right. Thanks. Here I am with King Daniel Taylor. He was gracious enough to invite me on his show. We had some technical difficulties last night, which I apologize for, but we got that fixed out, so we're rolling today. So I look forward to
Hell
this next hour of conversation with someone. So I met King Daniel Taylor a few years ago online, Facebook, and he is a tremendous artist. So that's how we got to talk and got to be some friends. And actually, one time in my life, I was a former United States Marine, and his character portrays a Marine. So we got to talking about things of how Marines act and what Marines do and that type of thing. And so I'm more than willing to have talked to him in the past, and we'll talk to him in the present and future of his project to help him bring some reality and some stuff to this great character that he's trying to develop. That is a United States Marine.
yes, sir.
The
Yes, sir.
reason,
So,
sure,
got a
go ahead.
question. Got a question for you. Um, being in a military, right? Was there ever a time where you just where you regretted it?
I never truly regretted it. I think it was my calling. Painters paint and preachers preach, and I just was neither of those. I mean, there's times where it's not easy. There's a lot of sacrifices that people make in all branches of the service. You make sacrifices with your children and your family and your body. It's not an easy thing to go through and do, 20, 22 years in the military. I never, when I first started, I never imagined that I'd be in as long as I am now. I'm actually kind of working on like a second career. I've been in that long. I'm at like a little bit past 38 years of being in the service of this country. And I've never regretted it. Um, I mean, there's times where you're out doing something and you look up at the sky and say, hey, I wish I was on that plane and not here, because you're out in some hostile, harsh place. But then in the other spectrum of that, my children are free, my family's free, this country's free. And it's just some of the things that you have to bear when you raise your right hand and you become a U.S. service member, is you have to sacrifice and serve, and that's what it's about. It's about keeping the freedoms that we cherish so much that sometimes we take for granted, just as a nation. Sometimes we just forget. We get up in the morning at that 9 to 5, and we run to Starbucks, and we get that cup of coffee, and we head to the office, and you got the crazy neon lights blinking, and you do whatever you do at work, and then 5 o'clock you jump and fight the traffic to go home, and then the next day same thing. Sometimes in our lives we just forget that there's people out there that haven't had a lot of sleep or maybe not a lot to eat, and they're out in some hostile area doing something away from their families, away from their wives or husbands, sacrificing parts of their life, maybe even their lives, to go out and defend this country. So it's definitely not for everybody. It is a calling. It has to be something that you want to do in your heart, because it's real. You can get real quick. And I just happen to have been able to do this between the United States Marine Corps and the U.S. Army. I've been able to do this a little over 38 years of my life now, basically my whole adult life, straight out of high school.
Wow,
So,
man.
yeah. So I
So you
mean,
went
this
in
is
there.
this is what I do. I'm not a
So you,
fireman or policeman, or I don't work at the general store. This is what I do.
so
I
you
go
went in
out
there
and
head first, huh?
yep, knee deep. It was back in the day. I was a young guy and got out of school, or was getting ready to get out of school, and I had my first job, and then got fired for my first job. They're like, "Hey, you got hired, and since you're the first one hired this fall, you're the first one to get fired because you have the least seniority." So I was like, "Okay." So I go out, I'm a young cat trying to get some experience, and it's like, "What do you do for experience?" So the guy's like, "You got any experience?" And I was like, "No, sir." They're like, "Well, come back when you get some experience." So I was like, "Well, how do I get a job? If you won't hire me to give me any experience, then I can't work, because if you won't hire me, how do I get it?" So
Right, right.
I looked at some of the fast food things, and I was just like, "This is just not my calling." So I went into the United States Marine Corps and raised my right hand, and then I did my first 4 years. And I was like, I kind of like this, so I did 4 more years. And I looked at it and I said, "Hey, I'm halfway there. 2 more is 10." So then I did 4 more years,
Yeah.
and then it just went on. And then I got budget cut after the first Gulf War. I was a combat veteran in the first Gulf War and many other places before that. And then I was actually married, had a 4-year child. I was a combat veteran, and I was younger than 19 years old. So it's big reality there, and being a dad, and being a husband, and having people you have to look after, and then going to war too. And I wasn't 19 yet.
Wow. So I got another question. Another question. So when it comes to being in the military, have you ever had that feeling that you wasted your life, or was that a feeling that you just this is all you knew? You know.
Never. I've never thought that I've wasted things. Every day in the morning when I get up and I put my uniform on and I look in the mirror, every single morning, wherever I've been at over the last almost over 38 years, I'm gracious, and I'm glad that God's kept me, and that I've been able to serve each and every day. I've never regretted it, because every day that I got up, I've learned something throughout my life with these days. Which brings me to my next categories here we'll talk about was so in order to be the best in the military, you have to drive. You have to have a lot of personal drive. You work a lot to do what you have to do, to teach people, to teach yourself, to be part of a unit. It's like being a Los Angeles Laker. Those guys just didn't roll out of bed one day and get together and say, "Hey, we're going to win the championship." There's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort that went into them to do that. So
Right.
it's the same thing in the military. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort that you have to do for yourself and for things that you learn while you're inside of a unit. And there's not a day that I haven't learned something. And I made myself a promise. There's a day when I get up and I look in the mirror and I'm not learning anything anymore, then it's time to retire. It's time to go home. You're done. When you think like that, you can't think like that. You just have to keep being resilient and go on no matter what.
Okay.
Especially the United States Marine. I mean, somebody asked me one time, what is it like to be a United States Marine? And I said, it's kind of like being the knights of old. Whether there's 50 people outside the gate or if there's 50,000 outside the gate, you still have to dress as a Marine, and you still have to go outside and meet what's outside the gate, because that's your job. You're a defender of freedom of this country. So sometimes you get thrown against odds that are not favorable to you, but that's your job. You still got to go, and you still got to do what you got to do. And it's something that I've.
Was there ever a time where you just was, you was afraid
Bone tired? Well, I mean, they train us very well. And I mean, anybody that's ever gone into harm's way, if they say that they've never been afraid or did anything, it's probably not telling you the truth. But I trust in the training that they gave me. They give me tons of training, and I trust in the people that have been around me. And I've just been fortunate that I've been around a lot of very, very high level folks. And when I first went in the Marines, a lot of my bosses were combat veterans way before me. You know, I had Vietnam veterans and veterans from Beirut, Lebanon, and these are the people who taught me how to be a Marine. And then I went to other places and went to several. Marines kept me very busy, going to foreign countries, training with NATO countries and or hotspots, conflicts.
Okay. So what was the funnest time you ever had while being in the military?
Oh, it's been a few. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some times where I've been in places where I hated being there, but I did it because I had to do it. And then there's when I went through some places in Europe, I really like Norway and some places like that. It's just that people were very gracious. And I actually being in the Marine Corps, I actually went to 46 countries in my life. So I've seen a lot of different cultures in a lot of places. So there's quite a lot of them I like, but for different reasons. Which leads me to our other stories. So being in the military, making sacrifices, there's a lot of times you can't do things that you want to do. So I kind of took a leap of faith, and that's one of the reasons why King Daniel invited me on his show. So I entered this contest, and this contest is for a walk-on movie role, a possible walk-on movie role to the winner. $13,000 in cash. I get to spend a few days and nights at the Buffalo Bill house, which is the house that was premiered in the horror movie Silence of the Lambs. And then additionally, Kane Hodder, who was in Friday the 13th in several of the episodes, is going to be in a 2-page magazine layout in Rue Morgue magazine. And the winner will be able to be in a 2-page magazine with him. So it's something I was interested in. I've always kind of been interested in the horror genre since I was younger, but I've never been able to do some things because the military's always taken my full attention and time. So now I'm lucky enough that now I'm getting here towards retirement. So I'm hoping that I might be able to do this and maybe land some other acting roles or some other things in the later part of my life. I know I'm kind of starting late at this, but I think this would be an interesting thing I might be able to accomplish.
Awesome. So when doing horror, right? When doing this movie thing that you really wanted to do, was this a goal that you just wanted to do, or was this a goal that built on as you got older?
Well, actually, I've always kind of been interested in it. When I was in high school, I was invited to a Graphic Institute of Art, and I was going to do commercial art and do some things. I draw fair, not as good as you, but I've been interested in art and things for a great portion of my life, but I've never been able to explore and do things like it. I went in the military, and my military level equals your art level. So apparently, being in the military ended up being my greatest calling, which I followed. But now I'd like to try to explore some other avenues in my life, and so basically, folks can vote for me every day. Every voter can vote once for free. And then there's also an option where you can get votes, and votes are $1. And it explains everything on the site. And what happens is 25% of all the proceeds that are raised from all these contestants goes to the B Plus Foundation, which is a cancer foundation that helps the families of children and then their people in their family that have cancer. And I think that's a great thing. Cancer is such a prevalent thing in our society that there's a ton of, I can't say why, but maybe it's the pesticides we use or preservatives, but cancer seems to be a very huge killer in our country. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. Cancer kills everybody equally. And it's unfortunate. And this is a great organization. The B Plus organization helps families and the children that are stricken with this horrible disease. And so it's great that they're giving 25% of all the proceeds from all this, from the beginning of the contest till the end, 10 November, to they pick a winner, and then money will go to these organizations.
Okay. So, begin into this contest, right? When people vote, right?
Yes.
Can they vote various, like $10, $20, $1?
Sure. So there's three ways. So everybody can vote once for free until 10 November, and every vote is important to me because that's how the winner is decided, by public vote. So even if you come online every day and stick with me through my journey through this, I'm getting ready to end week 2, round 2, coming up in like less than a day, and head into week 3 already. And I'm already only for this week I have to be in the top 15, so I'm number 3 right now. So as this goes on, each week it's going to be less and less, and it's going to go 10, 5, 1, and that's really when I need to try to get some support out there, either monetarily or everybody just voting once daily. If they can stick with me and follow me through my journey, that would be awesome. And hopefully at the end state of this is going to be, you're going to see me get this walk on roll and see me in this magazine. The magazine is basically Rue Morgue magazine, and for folks that aren't used to the horror genre, basically it's kind of like People magazine, but it deals with just the horror genre. It talks about horror classics. It talks about old and new movies that are coming out, and then it also talks about the stars that are of old and the new stars. It's kind of like a who's who of the horror genre. So yeah, been around for a while.
So what are your favorite movies? So what are your top 5 scary movies?
Oh wow, top 5. I like some of the classics. Definitely Ash versus the Evil Dead series, and both the Evil Dead trilogy were great. I think Bruce Campbell's a great actor. It's kind of like a dark comedy horror kind of thing. He did really well in that. That was one of my favorite ones. Some of the classics I like Night of the Living Dead, written by George A. Romero, who is basically he's the father of the zombie. All the cool shows we get to watch now, like The Walking Dead and Fear of the Walking Dead and Field of Dead and all those kind of shows, all came from George A. Romero. He was one of the original. He was the American original zombie creator.
Awesome.
And then in Europe, of course, we had Dario Argento. Dario Argento is the Europe's version of the zombie, and basically those two gentlemen were the front runners of creating that type of character, and then they did many movies, and they're both were very brilliant. Unfortunately, George A. Romero has passed away, but we still have the legacy of all of his movies. My favorite being Night of the Living Dead, which is the quote that is on my profile, which is for everybody who's watched it, is Barbara, they're going to get you.
Awesome.
And for everybody who's ever seen the Night of the Living Dead, they'll know exactly what I mean.
I saw that. The one with I saw the actual one they did in the 80s. Was that the 80s or the 70s?
Yeah, 70s. So that one. So there's been a couple of remakes of it, but I like the original one with Judith O'Dea, the original one.
Yeah, I seen the one where they was trapped inside this house.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
It starts out there. She's got her brother with her, and her brother's teasing her, and they're at the graveyard, and of course the guy attacks her brother, and then she runs off, and of course her brother gets killed, and it starts the movie where she ends up at the abandoned house. Exactly, that is the one. Probably the one that led me to horror. I think I was probably like 8, maybe 9 years old, and I think I watched some afternoon Saturday feature that I probably shouldn't watch, but I did, like most young people. And I watched the Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. So there's 3 short stories, and she played the lead role in all 3 of them. but my favorite one is the one where her boyfriend sent her this doll, and it was the doll of a headhunter, little mean little doll. Had a little knife, little spear, sharp teeth, just an angry looking little guy. He had a gold chain around him, and the legend in the box says that there's a real spirit of a warrior that was put in there by a shaman, and don't let the chain fall off. So the premise of the movie is basically the chain falls off and the doll is animated and it comes alive, kind of like maybe the original Chucky movie. And of course, the doll's running around trying to kill Karen Black through the movie. So that's probably the first one that I watched, and scared the heck out of me when I was a kid. But now I kind of chuckle at it now that I've gotten older. But that was probably the first one that I watched, and that's what led me to collect a lot of things that I collect, and movies and autographs from people and stuff like that. And I've been interested in the horror genre ever since then.
Yeah. Hold on.
See, I see somebody saying, is that the movie that I'm talking about? The original? Yep.
A zombie body slammed this man on his neck, and I'll never forget that movie.
Yeah, there's some wild movies out there about a lot of things, and now that with CGI and a lot of the special effects and some of the great makeup artists and stuff, it's pretty amazing. So I took a crash course and did some stuff, and actually, if you go on my profile, you'll see several photos of me and different things. So our director, Jim Vendiola, basically gave us direction to try to make up some characters and throw them on there and have some fun with it. So I designed some characters. I did all the costume work and all the makeup work myself. And then you're actually viewing one of the ones I won. I have one of my zombie guys up there. And there's some other ones that I have. So if you go to my profile, which King Daniel will put on the page there, it will have some other photos of me and other ones. So all these characters I thought up out of my head and did the best I could for the short amount of time. So sometimes throughout the contest, Jim is also the moderator of the contest, and he's also will be the director of the walk-on movie role, which only the winner is going to find out what that is, or afterwards. So you just have to wait and see what the boss tells you to do. But I'm looking forward to doing it. If I do happen to be the winner, meeting somebody like Kane Hodder. I've been him a couple times at some conventions, but he's a very interesting man. He's been in the horror genre for quite a while, and he's played Jason in the Friday the 13th movies. He's been in I think like four of the Friday the 13th movies as Jason, man behind the mask.
Awesome. I could see, Jason's been my favorite horror movie, I mean, it don't scare me at all. Like I don't get scared when watching Jason. I don't know why. I don't get scared when watching Jason or Michael Myers or who else? I don't get scared watching those.
So you asked me for my top 5. So I definitely like the Michael Myers. I mean, those are pretty cool too. They redid them and ran at it again in a different version. I'm not beyond reboots sometimes, but I mean, sometimes when there's a great classic out there, I think they should leave some of them the way they are. Shouldn't try to rebuild them or do whatever, because they're great and they stand alone for what they are.
Right. One of my favorite top 5 movies, top five scary movies is Candyman.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah. I always get scared.
Yeah, that's Candyman. A good one.
It gives me chills down my spine every time, dude. Like,
there's a lot of yeah, that's a good one. I like that. That's a good trilogy. I also like, and I believe they remade that too. I've not seen the new remake yet. I'll have to. That you reminded me of that. I'll have to try to dig that one up. But I did also. There's also. I sometimes I watch some of the foreign horror movies too. Japan, some of the Asian movies are really good. They have really good, strong characters, really dynamic creatures, and I really like some of their ghost stories because of their culture. They have some awesome vengeful ghosts.
Like
So it's like somebody who was killed, they were wronged in a certain manner, and then they come back, and those movies are always awesome.
you know what's crazy? I loved what's that movie called? The Grudge.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep, that was adopted from an Asian movie and then changed to they Americanized it and made another one. The Japanese version of it was, I believe, called Junon.
Yeah.
And there you go. See, that's what I mean. See, you got that evil, angry spirit ghost coming back, and that's things that make you, even as an adult, you're like, you want to check under the bed and look behind the door, and you're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, man! Like I can't. Oh, I don't. I would never like I watch it, but it's like the Ring, The Grudge.
Yeah, The Ring. Yeah, that's another good one. Another good age one.
What else? Jeepers Creepers when it first came out.
Oh, Jeepers Creepers, awesome! Definitely awesome one. Yeah, those two were, and I hear there's supposed to be a third one coming out.
Yeah, that one wasn't. It wasn't. When they did the second one, it was cool.
Wasn't it strong? Yeah, wasn't it strong?
The first one, classic. You ain't beating that one. You know what I mean?
Definitely, there's a. Definitely. There's a lot of ones. So I'm also a big Stephen King fan. He's had a lot of tremendous works in his books that have been transferred to movies, and he's just got quite a few of them out there that are pretty awesome. I mean, Christine, and it just goes on and on. I mean, we could talk about Stephen King stuff for 3 hours tonight, but I know we don't have that time. But he's definitely got some good ones out there.
Didn't he die?
Or Stephen King?
Yeah,
he's still writing. He's still about.
Oh man!
He just released. I guess his wife's got him chained up in the office there because he's turned out like a tremendous amount of books this year already, and it's just amazing that someone has such talent that they just pours out of him. And he's just written book after book after book after book, and he's I don't know how many he's got out this year, like 8. Just unbelievable that he's so talented that it's just that's his calling. Some people have that ability. It'd probably take me 5 years to write one book. He's apparently wrote 6 or 8 books in 6 months.
He's wrote more. Wrote more. I was reading them when I was younger.
Oh yeah, he's a great writer.
Like what oh, I forget that it's a haunted house movie. It's called Haunted Hill or something like that.
Oh, House on the Haunted Hill?
Yeah, House on the Haunted Hill. Mm-hmm. And
that's a good one. The original one had Vincent Price in it, which a great actor. And for people who had followed the horror field and follow Vincent Price, he actually is the only person in Hollywood to get 2 different awards. So he got one for Hollywood movies and he got one for TV, both, which is, that's like being a football champion in both the East and the West,
Right.
Just amazing that he got honored in both categories in his lifetime. And, sometimes it takes people their whole lifetime to just get honored in one. And he was honored in both of them. So definitely a tremendous, both movie and stage actor in TV. He was one of the greats.
Right. And the one of my classic ones is oh my God, Freddy Krueger movies.
Okay. Oh yeah, definitely good ones. Like that. So that's Wes Craven. Wes Craven wrote all those. Unfortunately, Wes has passed away. He wrote a lot of good ones though. He did Freddy. He did the Children Under the Stairs. He has a lot of classic ones. He's considered one of the masters of horror, and he's got some great genre out there, as well as John Carpenter. I love a lot of the John Carpenter movies. The Thing. Oh, that's an awesome one. Yeah, there's a lot of masters out there that have did things on film, and unfortunately we've lost a few of them. Wes Craven, Toby Hooper, just some people that were really great at what they did. George A. Romero. So I'm sure there'll be some people that will step up to take their spots, but it's going to be a tough fight because they were really good at it. They did.
What about the movie called Get Out?
I haven't seen that one. I've heard good things about that one. I haven't watched that one yet.
That is actually a good movie. It's scary too because it's stuff that really happened. You know what I mean? Oh, and also the movie called Us.
Us. Yep. There's a few of them out there that are based on some supposed true supernatural events, and some really good ones out there.
And The Exorcist. I love The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, The
Exorcist. Linda Blair, and everybody grew up watching that one.
It's definitely one
that
my dad said that was his first movie.
Yeah, definitely that's one that make you look under the bed. Yeah, check in your closet, leave the light on. Yep.
So okay, like, what was the first movie that ever like scared the shit out you? Like, just was.
I'd have to say that there's a series that I watched it's called The Sixth Sense, and it's really, really old movie. It's about a guy that had psychic ability and he could see things, and the whole premises was, they'd use him with his psychic ability to discover things, and they had like ghosts and stuff in it, and he'd find like murder victims and that kind of thing. I've never been able to find it to watch it again because it's definitely, it was a really, really old movie. It's one I'm still trying to add to my collection.
Oh, you're talking about the one with Bruce Willis, right?
No, before him, way before him. This would have been in the early 70s. Yeah, maybe 1969, somewhere probably between 1969 and 1972. Really old series. I apologize. I do not remember the star of the show. It escapes me at the moment. But if they looked up The Sixth Sense from the original movie back in the 70s, I'm sure they could Google and find it. But I still have to say the Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black, where she played 3 different roles in 3 different short movies, and that little killer doll running around with his knife and spear trying to kill her all through the house when I was a kid scared me to death. I was like, wow. I probably had nightmares about that stuff for watching something that your parents say, well, you shouldn't be watching that. And it's like, yeah, okay. And then you sneak in and you watch it anyway, right?
Yeah. That's disobedient,
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's young and snuck off and did something and whatever. But that's what led me to be a horror fan. And there's some really great movies out there. They have all the different genres of some of the classic ones. They've brought series to TV for werewolves and vampires, and they've got The Walking Dead and Fear of the Dead, and there's just so many great things out there now, and they continue to develop and make greater graphics and greater makeup artists and super actors and combine all this. And so the original classics have never truly gone away. They've just been supercharged and brought to us in other formats. And it's not going away. I think the horror genre is here to stay. So it made me a big fan, and being a big fan, I had to take this chance. So I entered this contest, and I did my pre-paperwork and sent it out, and got the message back. Said, hey, go ahead, finish the rest of it. So I put the rest of it in, and they're like, okay. Said, you're a contestant. And I was like, wow. I didn't think that. I think there'd probably be a lot of people doing it. I just didn't think that I'd be a contestant. And then they brought me back and they said, hey, you're in. It's like, wow, okay. So now I'm invested in this, and I'm going to do this. So I'm here to win, try to win it. Sure, that's what everybody in the contest is going to say. Hey, I'm here to win it. But hopefully,
they ain't got your back like I do, brother.
Yeah. So hopefully, if I'm blessed enough and I become the winner of this contest, Of course, some of the prize money, I've got some ideas with some of it. I'm going to put it in my pet fund. I've got some pets, and also I'm going to take some of it. I'm going to donate some. I'll donate some to the cancer fund too, to the kids. And there's a church that I belong to. I'm gonna donate some to them too. And the rest of it's going to the pet funds because I've got a few. I got 2 dogs and some cats, so I want to make sure that they're well taken care of and everything.
What just happened? He'll come back. He'll come back. Anyways, thank y'all for everything y'all been doing. That y'all, all the support y'all have given me. Man, this has been it's been awesome. It's been so awesome because before I did all of this, man, it was scary because I didn't know, how far I was gonna go, but now this shit is like an addiction. I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to entertaining. I can't stop it. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for all of it. Now back to the show. Trying. This happened yesterday, but hopefully it don't continue to happen. But as I was saying, you guys, the ones that actually support me, y'all mean the world to me. You know what I mean? And that's from the bottom of my heart. That's from the soul of my soul. And
Yeah, there we go. I have to apologize again for that. We're so apparently right in the middle of our great session that we've been going through so far. Had a hard weather front just went over the top of where I'm at. Actually, I'm out here on the porch where the signal's good, and it's a lot of lightning and a little bit of rain, and so apparently it discontinued us for a quick second.
Is it okay over there?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're talking about the horror genre. Yeah, there's just so many good things out there now.
Before we get to there, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Just to set things off. You know what I mean? So when you feel like, is your horror, like, interest in horror, is it something that you go to for, like, just comfort and, something that you just go to for fun, or is it something that you see yourself doing it, for a very long time?
Well, actually, I mean, I collect movies, so I have a pretty extensive DVD collection of many genres, but I'd say probably 65% of that's in the horror realm. So now I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching them, and it's good stress relief. Where after a hard day at work or whatever, I can come home and throw something in, and whether it's a dark comedy like Ash versus the Evil Dead, and you can laugh a little bit with it, or maybe it's something more like Michael Myers or Jason, and and they're out doing nefarious deeds throughout the city. So I have a lot of fun watching them. So it's always good to know you can come home and throw something in the player and just relax, have some dinner, and watch a great show.
Right. I catch a horror. I love watching horror flicks. You know what I'm saying? I may get scared and all, but
sure.
So the one movie that really scares the shit out of me is the original Candyman. I'm sorry, but that's
first shows. First shows. A lot of the first shows are definitely the best. It's like, what are horror movies? So horror movies are created to elicit a response out of the audience, whether that shocks you or scares you, or maybe some of the dark comedies where there has some funny parts in it. But I mean, they're there to make you laugh, to scare you, to shock you, to whatever. I mean, that's how they want to elicit that response out of you. And that's where the fun comes at. It's almost like going to an amusement park, but you get to stay at home. You know, whether you're going to go jump on that roller coaster ride or if you're going to go on something that's you know, not as fast, not as scary, but and then you can go through your system at home and plug that into your TV or get DVDs, and then you can watch the movie that you want to give you the response that you want. Whether, you know, if it's a slasher movie or if it's the old classic ghost movie or if it's the old classic creatures like Frankenstein or the werewolf. And that's what makes it awesome, is like every night you can do something different and you can look at different genres, different times. Maybe even back in the day when they had movies where there were no words. You know, some of the old silent films like Nosferatu, which is like one of the first vampire movies that was made. So I encourage everybody to go out and jump in the horror field and look around and find what you want, but don't be shy. Explore, because there's a lot of different genres out there, and you find what you like, and then and stick with it and have some fun. That's what it's all about.
That's right. That's right. I actually, I'm thinking about doing a horror part for Jarhead. I'm thinking about doing a zombie apocalypse.
There you go.
That within the story of Jarhead, right? Implementing it within the story of Jarhead, making it like a book of book of Revelation, zombie apocalypse type shit. Just
that'd be cool.
You know what I mean?
That would definitely give him a target-rich environment to do what he does. A lot of bad guys out there. Yeah.
I actually because I want to explore every genre, with Jarhead and everything that I'm with the comic books that I do. I want to explore every genre and acclimate every genre into what I do when it comes to comics.
Sounds like you have the future of some special series editions for right before Halloween to me.
Yeah. Because like what I want to do, because I got some stuff up my sleeve. Let's just say that. I ain't gonna tell nobody yet. But we just started the actual production on the script of part 2 of Jarhead. So
awesome.
I should have book 2 out next year. Out next year. Don't count me on it. But I'm gonna try to have book 2 out next year.
We'll be looking forward to it.
Oh, I got you.
I collect a lot of stuff, so
I'm gonna give you some. I'm gonna give you the updates on what I'm doing because
Okay, awesome.
Into the military.
Look forward to that.
I got you. But when it comes to being in the military, right?
Sure.
Do they ever give y'all some care packages and?
Sure. There's a lot of times when soldiers are deployed overseas or they're deployed to a posting that's overseas. You don't necessarily have to be in a combat zone. You could be posted overseas in Europe or something. But most of the time, people are overseas in a contingency situation. And there's agencies that get together, and what they do is they send care packages to soldiers that are deployed all over the world. And you may not think much about that, but you're over there and you've probably missed every holiday known to man because you're over there for at least a year or more. So sometimes a small package during Christmas time or Thanksgiving or whatever, so it's a big thing because and I don't think a lot of people realize what happens because you get removed from your life, from the normalcy of what you had. You're not doing the 9-to-5 thing in the military, doing your normal thing stateside. You're not with your kids. You're not with your husband or your wife or, You're deployed. You're out in the middle of some foreign country doing something that may not be glamorous. You could be out on some checkpoint or guarding a base or, out on patrols every day, 12, 16, 18 hours a day where, actually you're in harm's way. So on a lot of occasions. And, that little box that comes is, like home, literally like home. So it takes your mind away from things for a minute. And that's an important, rather than, that might have a spooky movie in it for you to watch on your miniature player that you brought with you, or it might be some music, maybe a small game or something, maybe even just a paper book to read, and some snacks, something that reminds you of home or brings you, something that takes you away for a moment. That's a big thing. Sometimes it's just that few moments that you get to, not being under all the stress and the situations of where you're at. Sometimes that's a big thing. So it keeps you moving.
So I wanted to ask you, like, man, what was the MREs like? What do they taste? Some of them taste good.
Yeah, when they first started the MRE thing, and I have to say there were some of them that were not so good. But
What's your favorite?
You deal with it. Oh, they've changed them so many times over all the years that I've been in. There's actually some meals that I haven't even had yet because they've changed them. There's some new ones, but there's some good ones. I tend to like some of the chicken fajita ones, and I tend to go to some of the pastas and stuff like that. So those are the ones I kind of like.
Awesome, man. Because I never ate an MRE. I heard it.
There's some of them that are not so good, but they've done a lot better though over the more recent years. They've changed them, and they've upgraded them and did things to them throughout the years. So now they're pretty much, most of them are probably almost all of them are probably a lot better than what they used to be.
Yeah, that's a good way. Good way.
I mean, that's when you're out there with your brothers and your sisters, and you're out there harassing them, and people are out there trading meals and doing stuff, and you don't want to be the guy or the gal that gets stuck with that meal. It's the one that nobody wants to eat.
Right.
So there's a lot of trading and a lot of camaraderie going on that way sometimes, because meals that looking for that good meal.
True. I feel you. So when it comes to, like, being in the military, man, like,
sure,
I know it get lonely. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it can be.
Huh?
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you have to have a lot of self-reliance. I mean, you have to believe in yourself. You have to know you're there for a purpose and you're serving a purpose. I mean, generally, when I was a United States Marine, I got sent over to areas because there's problems, and your job was to deal with those problems and try to bring peace to an area, or to help people that are there, because it's not peaceful. That's your job. So every day that you get to go up and you get to serve your fellow man and help and do things, that's what it is. I mean, every day you do what you got to do. And sometimes there's good days and sometimes there's bad days. But you had to persevere through that. I mean, that's what you do. That's what you're there for.
Is there emotional days when serving, like being?
Sure. There's when I first came in and I became a United States Marine, I was at graduation and I saw the flag, flipping back and forth in the wind, and I'm standing out there in the graduation ceremony looking at the flag of the United States of America, and I was like, wow, I made it. I'm a United States Marine, and that's my country's flag, and I made it. And there's times where you see people retire and you see young people come in, and there's sad times because we train very hard to do what we do, to go out and defend the freedom of the country. So sometimes in training, there's people that get hurt. Sometimes people get killed. And then, most assuredly, when you go overseas in a conflict area, there's always that chance. where people that you know or people you're with or whatever, and people do die, most certainly.
Like, do y'all do? Like, have you ever done that time the obstacle where you have to crawl under the obstacle course and the bullets is flying over your heads?
Yes, all United States Marines do that in basic, and then depending on your job, I was an infantryman also as a United States Marine, and there's giant field exercises that we do out in the deserts. And there's live fire that goes over the top of you when you're out training all the time. I mean, that's how you train. You train for as best as you can, as safe as you can, but to make it as realistic as you can. Because when you go someplace, that's what's going to happen. The enemy's going to try to shoot at you, and you're going to have to shoot at them. So that's what you do. You make it as realistic and as possible.
Oh man, that's I'm gonna tell you, I've always wanted to be a Marine. I always wanted to be in the military. You know what I'm saying? Because that sense of being a warrior, being a soldier, it's wholesome to me. To be honest with you, like I hear stories of my dad telling me how when he was a soldier, and hearing a lot of stories from my friends and stuff like that. It makes me want to do it even more, but I can't. When you can't do certain stuff.
And that's kind of how I started out. I mean, I have a big family in the Marine Corps. My family goes all the way back to World War I as United States Marines. So my grandfather was a Marine, my father was a Marine, my aunt was a Marine, I was a Marine, and then after the first Gulf War, they got rid of thousands of people. After the war, they just budget cut people. So I was budget cut, and then I joined the United States Army. I changed uniforms, but I still served the same country, the same flag.
Wow.
So I made that change, and here I am. So the Marine Corps taught me who I am, who to be, and the Army has refined things and taught me things, and the Army's going to retire me and send me home when it's time. So I have love for both, and both for the United States Army and for the United States Marines, both. Two totally separate entities, but both serve
same purpose
and honor the country the same way. You betcha.
Right. So being a Marine and a soldier in the Army, have you ever had blanket parties?
Blanket parties. Well, I don't think there's too many blanket parties that go on anymore, but back in the day, I think they were there. Basically, a blanket party is somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, and people would get together and kind of like the movie Full Metal Jacket. I'll just leave it at that.
Damn. Ooh, I'll get up. I'll be wanting to fight. I'm sorry. I'll be wanting to fight.
Yeah. I mean, they do it in a way because, and I wouldn't say that I recommend this. I would never say that, but basically in the military, when you get somebody that's not compliant and won't do something, when you're at a squad level, basically they can get everybody killed because they're being foolish and not doing what they're supposed to do. So what happens is sometimes people get the brilliant idea that they're going to go adjust someone's attitude. And, I guess sometimes it might still go on in the military. I can't say. I mean, there's a lot of better ways of doing things like that. Sometimes in movies like Full Metal Jacket and some of these other movies, they depict a lot of things. They try to dramatize a lot of things and make a lot of things that, makes for good viewing, but doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Yeah, sure.
Right. So, like, when you first join the military, do the upper soldiers, like the ones that's above you, do they treat you like a crab?
Well, sure. I mean, it's like college, or I mean, you do things and you're a young guy and you don't know all of what's going on, and these are people that teach you. So I mean, they're going to be tough with you because you have to learn, and then you learn. and you go to professional schools and you do different things. And then that's what happens. You learn as you go and you do things, and then you get more responsibility and you get people under you and you do things, and that's how you learn. It's kind of like going through school. So you graduate kindergarten, you go to the next school, you're in second grade and third, then fourth, and it kind of starts over again because then you get older and bigger and you do learn more things. So then you're in seventh grade, in eighth grade, and then it starts over again. Then you're in, you're starting out in high school. So when you're in eighth grade and you're lost again and trying to make new friends and learn new things in the world and whatever, and then you go out, then you're in college, and then you go through college and you do it again. Then it's, whatever, at least 4 years, sometimes 7 if you're going to be a doctor. And then, oh, wow, it starts over again because then you're out in the real world and you have to get a job and you have to work at the hospital. You have to work somewhere and make friends and do things, improve yourself. And that's generally your whole life. You're always hoping, trying to learn things and do things and achieve things in your life and be happy with the choices that you've made and do what you do. I mean, that's life.
Right. The question is, is there ever a dull moment? Is there ever a dull moment when you're at work? When you're patrolling and everything?
Well, sure. I mean, we have our downtime too, and we have times when, it's like you go out in the field for a long time, or you're out in a combat zone and you do stuff. You come back, you're like cleaning your vehicle or cleaning your weapon or doing something, and sure. But then there's all times when you're out on patrol, and definitely if you're on patrol, you shouldn't have a downtime because you should be paying attention to what you're doing because that's how you get hurt. It's all business.
Like, because I saw in the movie Dead Presidents, right, where they're in the middle of the jungle, not the jungle, I want to say like in the middle of the woods, let's just say that, and
sure.
They're all huddled in a circle, in the circle, sitting on like I know it's a movie and everything, but like, where do y'all eat your food and camp out? How do y'all camp out with enemies around?
Well, if you're in that type of environment where you're in a jungle or whatever, there's usually a fire base that you'll return to, or you have like a poncho and a poncho liner, and you'll wrap up in a poncho and a poncho liner, and you'll stick yourself in the weeds, and you'll put people on guard duty, and that's where you're at. You're out there with them, and you wait, depending on what your mission is. I mean, so. Usually you're either watching what the enemy's doing, and you're trying to interdict what the enemy is doing, or you're going to eliminate the enemy. One of those three. So your mission is one of those three. And you go out and, sometimes you're watching, and sometimes you're doing other things, and then sometimes you're eliminating, stopping them.
That is a good assessment.
I guess it depends on where you're at. I mean, we set up bases out in what we call FOBs now, forward operating bases, or COPs, combat outposts, COPs, and you're out in whatever environment or whatever country you're at, and then that's what you do. You go out and they have people that go out ahead of time and they set up these bases, and then you leave from these bases and go out and conduct operations in hostile countries.
Awesome, man.
You see some of these other things like you were speaking of is more like, something had happened, and I wouldn't say older. I mean, we have special forces and specially trained people that go out and do specific jobs. I'm not going to get into their tactics or what they do. Let's just say they're very specialized and very good at what they do, and they get sent on special missions.
Right.
Like all the movies. I mean, people have seen them. You've watched the Navy SEAL movies, and I know there's some Navy SEAL movies on TV. I mean, there's very specialized individuals that get sent on special missions, maybe to rescue a hostage. So they'll get sent on a mission to go grab a missionary or someone that's been captured and return them, for example.
Oh, wow. So, like, man, like, I'm all booked.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because these individuals, sacrifice a lot, and they train their whole lives, and they go out to do missions like this and do stuff, and you never hear about it. They will never be seen on TV. They'll never they'll never see them. I like to refer to them as the quiet professionals because they're always out in the world doing things. You just never see it or hear about it. They're like ghosts.
Basically, ghosts.
They're in, they're gone.
Ghosts.
Betcha.
Ghosts. But
Yep.
do you have do you have anything else to say to the people that's watching?
Yes. Everybody can vote once for free. So please vote for Patrick Greenwood. And also, if you decide to put funds to it, you go to the site and we'll explain anything. I mean, it could be $1 or whatever it has there on the menu. If you decide to do that, definitely towards the week 5 through 8, because that's when it's going to start getting tough. And competition is going to get tough. And I would really like to be the winner. I'd like to represent the veterans out there and do this and get this walk on roll. And so hopefully if I'm blessed enough to do this. And then also remember 25% of all the proceeds from the entire contest goes to the B Plus Cancer Foundation. And anybody could be out there to help with a little bit to help kids that have cancer and they're going through tough times with their family. That'd be a great thing. And I'd like to say thanks to King Daniel Taylor for inviting me on the show. And I'd like to say God bless and be safe to all those armed forces that are spread all throughout the world, whether you're doing the 9 to 5 thing back here in the States or if you're out there somewhere in harm's way and we don't know about you. God bless you for what you do. Be safe.
Thank y'all for watching. And this has been the 63rd episode of the In Your Face show. Thank y'all for watching, and I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all for the support. We out. Peace.